Let's take a look at the pen tool. Using the pen tool, you can create selection, shapes, cutouts, and masks. You can access the pen tool from here. Click on this option. This looks like an ink pen, or you can access this tool using this shortcut P. I'll go to the new layer and I'll click on this point from point A to point B. So I made a one single straight line. If I hold shift while drawing the line, I'll get a straight line. If I stop holding the shift, I can move around and make a line in any angle. Close. So I have created a vector shape. I can change the color from here like so. I'll just increase the strokes so it will be visible. I zoom in a bit. There are some stroke styles that we have here. That is a dashed line, a dotted line. Let's keep it simple and see what is alignment. I can align the stroke inside the object or the outside the object or even at the center. I can change the corner styles, like I can make them rounded or I can make them bevel. I have few more options here. I can change the stroke style and even further edit by giving a unit here, like I want the dash to be 2 units long and the gap to be 2 units, or maybe I want to reduce the gap. I'm gonna give 1, so it reduce the gap and it will work according to. Now I'm gonna take another pen tool. I'm gonna take a new stroke here, and now I will be able to see how the caps work. For the caps to work, you need to have a separate single stroke. Now if I give this rounded cap, you can see there is a rounded cap, and this will be giving a little extended than the original one. The original used to be till here, and the extended one will be little further beyond from the point. This is the original and this is the extended one. So this is the vector shape. As you can see in the layer panel, there is a little bit different about this layer. It indicates this is a vector shape. Now, what is the difference between the raster and vector? The opposite of vector is raster. I'm going to take a new layer and I'm going to take this dot. Now this will be a raster. Raster consists of pixels and the vector would consist of points and lines that can be mathematically scaled up or down without losing any quality. That is not the case when it comes to raster. Let's say I'm going to decrease the size of the circle. Control T transform. I'm going to increase the size of the circle, and you can see the quality of the circle has degraded significantly. Now if I do the same with the shape, I'll just scale it down. Control T to transform, scale it down, and Control T to transform to scale it up, and you can see that the quality stays intact in terms of vector images or vector objects. Keeping things vector is a better choice when you're working on graphics. Now, again, with the pen tool, this was the shape. You can also have a path. Using the path, you can create a selection. I'm going to make a selection like so. Click. I chose the path option. Now this circuit will be complete, and I'm going to make selection using this option, or I can just right click and make selection, or I have a shortcut Control plus Enter to make this as a selection. But the benefit of using this is it will be asking me if I need a radius in this selection, feather radius in this selection. Okay, and we always, not always, but mostly we use feather when it comes to selection. Let's just take a an example of how to do a selection using the pen tool. When choose the pen tool, and choose the path. I will take a copy of this layer. Okay. Now I'll start from this point. Click, and here I have a curve, so I'm gonna click and drag. There. Now I'm going to cut the handle by Alt click, and the handle is cut. Click and drag for another curve. You can move around this handle and see how the curve behaves if I make it longer or shorter. You need to know exactly how the curve will behave to get this selection right. I'm going to go ahead and make the selection as per the bird. I'm going to follow along the edges of the bird's body and feathers. We'll create the selection like so. Alt click to cut the handle. It is always a good practice to work on the pen tool. If you get this tool right, then you have a lot of Adobe softwares having the same tool, and you can use this very same tool in those softwares as well. You can undo to go back one step, or you can press Ctrl Z multiple times to go multiple steps back in case you make a mistake. Felt the feather would be a little edgy here. Okay, now it works well now. Make sure you keep the points as low as possible. When it comes to straight lines, you can just click and you can complete the selection like so. to have a good rhythm of zooming in and panning the image so you can work very efficiently. Make a practice of that, and then you will be able to make the selections flawlessly. Alt click and keep the legs. I'm going to take the first leg, not the second leg. Second leg seems to be a little bit out. In case if I do make the cutout of a second leg, looks rather odd. So I'm going to keep it one leg. You can skip some things like these feathers because that would be nearly impossible to cut that out accurately. So in some cases like that, you can avoid that, and it will not be very visible. In case if I cut that out in the selection, it will be hardly noticeable that that part was there. There was something there. So okay, now my selection has been complete. I have done the selection. Now I can go ahead and make selection. Give OK. I'm going to give a mask this time. Give a mask. I switch off the background layer, and you can see it has been cut out properly. There are a few gaps here, so I can just go ahead with the pen tool, make another path here. And I can fill in the gap like so. Control Enter. I'm going to use this black as a background color, so I'm going to give back Control Backspace, and it will be gone. Now I'm going to use a little bit of feather because the image is a little blurry. Now this looks fine with the blur. You can also remove this area in case if this seems distracting. Make a selection like so. Control Enter, and I'm going to do the same, Control Backspace, because I have black in the background. Okay, so this is my proper cutout of a bird. So this is one way you can make a selection and cutouts using the pen tool. And about the curves, I'm gonna show you one exercise that you can practice curves on. Don't get started with such a complex object like a bird or something. You can practice the curves on an ellipse tool. Like take an ellipse, make it a bright color, no stroke, and now go to a new layer, take a pen tool, and then start tracing this ellipse. Try making this ellipse within the 4 points. So I'm going to click and drag for the curve. There. You have a few options with this, that you can just go ahead and click here roughly, and you can click and drag here, and I could just go ahead roughly click. Okay, after making an irregular shape like that, I can go and further edit this path using Control. If I press Control, I can click and drag to move around this path. I hold Control and I can control the handles. If I press Alt and click, I can control a single handle. As this handle is a pair, into control using Alt and Control. This is a single handle, so I'm going to control it with Alt. You can click here. Control. Alt. I'm going to add a few handles here. I can change the point like so. Control. And let's set the point like so. It's Alt and you can exercise the curves like so. Let's take a look at the circle. This point looks rather edgy, so you can go into the pen tool, convert point tool. You can click and this will be converted into a curve as well. So it is now a little round. You can just click Control and now you take the reference, Control, set the point here, and I can control this as well. Alt and adjust this curve. Okay, this looks okay to me. Not perfect, but okay. So you can start practicing using this tool, or you can, after doing the ellipse, you can start with a moon object like moon, something like that. Like I'm just gonna take a circle like so, and I'm gonna take another circle that is going to be white. A white circle. I'm going to overlap this, Control T to transform, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to remove the stroke. I don't want any stroke here. So you can, I'm going to select the both layers, Control E. No, that doesn't work in this case. So yeah, I'm going to take a new layer and then start drawing with the pen tool. Can click here for the curve. Alt click here and then click and drag. You don't have to be perfect the first time. It's okay to make mistakes. So curve, click and drag. Alt click, then Alt click to cut the handle and then make the curve. Okay, so now I can go further edit and Control. Control key and get it somewhere here, the center, and if the shortcut is not working, I'm going to go manually select the convert point tool and set the curve like so. get it somewhere in the center, and work on these curves. I'll switch off this little edge here. I can do that perfectly. I could just move this mirror down and then work on this curve. Okay, that looks nearby, and step by step you can move forward and make it perfect. One more thing about the paths, that you can make multiple paths, like I just took this path and then I'll just add one more path, and you can find all your paths in the path panel. So you have two paths for now. If you click on that, it will make a new selection. I'll undo that. This option will give a stroke path with brush, and the first option will give fill path with foreground color. It'll give me a black color because the foreground is black. Here I have third option, load path as a selection. This will give me a selection. I can delete path using this option, delete. But I chose to have that fill layer, so it has the fill. I'm going to use the control backspace to get the fill layer out of my way. Now let's take a path again. Okay, this path you can move around. Or you can work the other way, like if you press Ctrl Enter, this is the selection, and from the selection you want the path, you can just click on this and you'll get the path out of the selection only.